John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast, in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
Hey, Kevin.
John, man, it's so good to see you, even though I've been seeing you for the last 10 minutes here as we've been doing the pre-show, but I come on here and act like I'm just seeing you for the first time, just for the sake of... Do you ever wonder, by the way, how many people fast forward through that intro? I wonder that all the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't take offense to it if they do, but I wonder that.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, when I listen to podcasts, sometimes I'll actually listen to the ads, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But what's nice with, I normally listen to podcasts while I'm driving. So... You know, and I've got an Apple Watch, and you can customize the fast forward and the reverse. You can do 30 seconds, 15 seconds. So I've got the fast forward set to 30 seconds and the back for 15.
Yep.
So
smart.
I'll go 30, and then if I go past too far, I'll hit the 15.
Yeah, it's hilarious because I would guess that people who do fast forward to it, they have their routine down now. So if it's a 15-second fast forward or a 30-second, they know exactly how many times they need to hit it. And I don't know, I'm guessing the theme song's about 30 seconds, so it might just be 130 hit, and then there's John saying, hey, Kevin, and me saying, hey, I'm pretending like I'm seeing you for the first time. Well, either way, we're just glad that you're listening. You can fast forward through whatever you want. Just keep on listening. And we have, I guess it's a time-sensitive episode because...
A little.
I guess not super sensitive, but we're doing, I'm doing Groundhog Day. I'm quizzing you, John, on Groundhog Day because by the time this airs, I think Groundhog's Day will have just passed. And so I thought we'd learn a little bit about that. And tell us what
Unless you're a Patreon.
Yes, because then you get the day early and it actually probably comes out on Groundhog Day, right?
Yep.
Yeah, how about that? So there we go. I'm super excited for that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm doing Boy Scouts since this was the month that Boy Scouts was chartered.
Yes, so I was a Boy Scout. John was a far better Boy Scout than I, and by that I mean just purely in ranking. You do earn rank, so he was literally a better Boy Scout than I was because he got the highest rank, Eagle. Which you know what? I haven't used this in a while. Nice job, congratulations, John. That's enough of that. Let's get rid of you.
Which just real quick on that, in looking at stuff, evidently it was originally going to be called the Wolf Scout, but then they changed it to Eagle because that sounded more American.
Yeah, I was going to say, that makes total sense. What would have been even funnier is if the turkey, because wasn't the turkey going to be the national bird? If it was, God, can you imagine if it was the turkey award? You got the turkey, you earned turkey.
And just like many of my other comments, I may get hate for this, but I don't really think the bald eagle is that great of an animal.
I think you've said this before, and I don't remember why.
But it's very fitting for our country.
The majesty of it, the rarity of seeing one.
No, yeah, I get it from how they look and everything, but they're vultures. They're glorified vultures.
But technically, are you a bald Eagle Scout or are you an Eagle Scout? Or is it the same?
Just an Eagle Scout.
There are various kinds of eagle, correct?
There are. Oh, yeah.
I've never before thought of it. Is technically you're not a bald Eagle Scout unless you are a bald human who won an Eagle Award. That's the only way.
You don't win the Eagle Award.
Yeah, I know. This is how bad of a Boy Scout I am, see? Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go. Fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up. So we're getting close to a milestone, right, John?
Yeah, we are. We're gonna have to have Grayson or someone else go back and tell us what episode it was that I challenged us to. We're almost to 2,000 listens.
Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that, John. There was some episode where you said we got to 1,000, and you said let's get to 2,000 in half the time or something like that, right?
Yeah, and I don't remember what episode that was.
Yeah.
So if you know what episode that was, please tell us so we can see if we made it or not.
I think I would rely on Grayson as well. Grayson is one of our most frequent listeners, and he and I talk very frequently about our podcast, and he seems to know or be willing to go back and look. Grayson, if you're hearing this, man, don't feel obligated. Only do it if you really want to.
Right. And I wonder if we have a Wikipedia page yet.
Oh, that would be crazy.
Right. I mean, we can't make it ourselves since it would be about us.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Someone else would have to.
Yeah, there isn't.
I didn't plan on bringing this up, and I actually kind of forgot about it because I'm not trying to make a huge deal out of it. Lack of Genius, believe it or not, is on IMDb right now.
Oh?
Yes, because as am I for the first time ever. I have a friend. So I've talked a lot. I've spoken a lot about this children's project that I eventually want to launch, right? And I've had some really motivating talks with a coworker of mine, Manny on the Streets. I'm going to shout him out, man. If you're from LA, you know him he used to be on the Ryan Seacrest show and has been a part of Kiss FM in LA for a long time. He is such an inspirational dude to talk to, and he really got me motivated for launching this project. And now it's still a little ways away from launch, but I have a very direct focus about what I'm doing now. And so he got me to the point where I've now registered with ASCAP so I can start registering my songs. And because he has connections with IMDb, he wanted to get me on IMDb so that by the time I do launch it, so that our loophole was, oh, you can list a podcast on IMDb and that gives you a reason to be on there. So there it is.
But you didn't get me on.
I know, and I feel so bad about that. Wait. No, so you do not have an IMDb page, but your name is listed under the description of what Lack of Genius is.
Right, but it has you as the executive producer.
And star.
Shouldn't there be both of us? No. And directed by?
Hey, look, John, IMDb it says it, so we just have to believe it. I'm sorry, man.
It's time to take a quiz or two. Like a Genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time.
I forgot the word you used, but in celebration of the beginning of Boy Scouts, you used a cool fancy word though.
Chartering.
Chartering. Woo, what a word. In celebration of the chartering of the Boy Scouts, we are doing an episode on Boy Scouts and in honor of Groundhog Day, having just passed for most of you listening. I am quizzing John on Groundhog Day. So let's do it, John, unless you have anything to add. I know you're going to ask the first question.
No, I think that's it. And, I use the word chartered because Boy Scouts, along with Future Farmers of America, and Girl Scouts is an actually federally chartered organization.
There it is. It's like a national park.
So, kinda.
Sort of, right?
I mean, Little League Baseball is also federally chartered.
Is it really?
So,
I did not know that.
Yep.
Wow, man, I was super patriotic as a kid. I was in Boy Scouts and Little League Baseball. And I took piano lessons for good measure. I'm sure there's something all-American about that, too.
Yeah, so, you ready for your first question?
Let's do it. Bring it on.
In what country did the scouting movement start?
Wow.
The U.S., or the United States of America, Canada, England, or France?
Wow, John, right off the bat, bringing a jaw-dropping question because I 100% would have thought it was United States, which, I mean, it could be. That is a choice. But I would guess because it's a question, it's probably not United States. Fun fact, Canada is the second choice. Again, it's United States, Canada, England, and France. Canada is vaguely coming to mind, but the fun fact is that with the Boy Scouts, I went on a trip to British Columbia in Canada. And so the reason the Canada flag is coming to my mind is because I was in a Boy Scout uniform seeing Canadian flags everywhere. For some reason, like I'm envisioning an old Boy Scout book because my dad was a Boy Scout too. And for some reason, England is coming to mind. I don't know if that's crazy, but I'm going to choose England. I'm locking it in. Yeah, got it.
Correct.
All right.
Yep. Nope. It was started in England and then throughout the years has gone to many different countries. I think pretty much all Western countries, Europe, the US, North America, Southeast Africa, they all have some sort of scouting organization that started off of the scouting movement in England. Wow,
that's a fun fact. I will call that a fun fact. Maybe I have some memory of reading that, because I'm going to stand by that I was a terrible, terrible Boy Scout, but maybe something subliminally or just somehow stuck in my brain. So I'll give myself that much credit. All right, I start one for one. We're going to give you your first question on Groundhog's Day. Which of the following animal, and I wrote animals, but it's just one of these animals, which of the following animal is the same animal as a groundhog? Is it a woodchuck, a prairie dog, a beaver, or a marmot?
I know it's not a prairie dog. I know it's not a beaver. I believe a marmot is more like a ferret. And I believe it's a woodchuck.
You're going to go with woodchuck?
Yep.
That is correct. Nicely done. Yeah, I didn't know if this would be obvious or not. I realize as a multiple choice, it might be obvious to figure out, but that fact blew my mind. I don't know why. I assumed a woodchuck was an animal and a groundhog was an animal. Turns out they're the exact same thing. So when you're saying how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood, you also could be saying how much wood could a groundhog chuck if a groundhog could chuck wood. But that obviously does not have as good of a ring to it.
Well, I mean, you could just say how much ground could a groundhog hog?
Or how much
could groundhog?
How much log? How much log? How much log could a groundhog log if a groundhog could log? Because we're the log podcast. See, here are all the many names of a groundhog that I found: chuck, woodchuck, ground pig, whistle pig, whistler, thickwood badger, Canada marmot, moonax, red monk, and then land beaver. All those names are possible. The reason a woodchuck, by the way, is called a woodchuck, a groundhog, it has nothing to do with chucking wood. Do you know it, John?
I don't remember.
It's a bummer because I was like picturing, little groundhogs just launching full logs of wood in the air. It's a Native American tribe, the word woodchuck. That's what they called the woodchuck. They called it a woodchuck. And that over time, just sort of the nickname for it became woodchuck.
So, I was trying to remember what a marmot looked like. And I think marmots are also another name for groundhog, according to the National Geographic.
Well, so what I see marmot as something different. They're actually large ground squirrels. Literally, what's funny is that it was listed as they're the heaviest member of the squirrel family. So they're literally just fat squirrels. Like that's what they are. Okay, so there's a little bit of controversy, but either way, you could have, if you chose marmots, then maybe we would have given you half a point. All right, well, good times. You got it either way, and we're both 1 for 1.
Yeah.
So number 2 on Boy Scouts, right?
Yep.
Here we go.
In what year did scouting start? 1907, 1910, 1917, and 1920. Now, this isn't, we talked about how scouting started in the UK or in England. So this is what year did it start in England? Okay,
that was going to be my question. So it's not when did BSA, Boy Scouts of America, start? This is,
right.
Okay, 1907, 1910, 1917, 1920. I'm trying to think if I know when the Boy Scouts of America started, and I don't think I do know. Yeah, it's kind of going to be a random guess. I think it was pretty early. I'm between the two earliest ones, so we'll see if I'm debating between one of the correct ones. 1907 or 1910. In the past, I've been choosing either the earliest or the latest or the smallest or largest of an option. I'm going to choose the one that's not quite, just in hopes that that's what you went with. I'm going to say 1910. Oh, not so much.
You would be correct if you were talking about the Boy Scouts of America.
That's when Boy Scouts of America started.
That was in 1910. In England, it actually started officially. The first scouting camp out was 1907.
Wow.
And it was put on by a guy by the name of Lord Robert Baden-Powell.
What a name.
He actually got famous for. He ended up being a general in the English forces. He got stationed in India, where he learned a lot about scouting, as a ranger scout type deal in the army. And so then he eventually got stationed in South Africa, where he actually led the defense of a town called Mafeking. And so he got really well known in England for that. But also he put out a book on the types of things you need to know how to scout. He eventually, once he retired from the army, put out a book called Scouting for Boys, which is the first Boy Scout handbook, which came out in 1908.
How about that? Wow. Robert von Berryman. What was it again?
Lord Robert Baden-Powell.
Lord Robert Baden-Powell? He's got Lord N. Powell in his name. That's mighty impressive.
Powell, yep.
All right, I'm 1 for 2. You're 1 for 1. You want to try to go 2 for 2 now?
Yep.
This is just what Groundhog Day is all about, according to the superstition of Groundhog Day. If the groundhog sees its shadow, it means A, 6 more weeks of winter weather, B, spring weather will arrive early, or C, we feast on the groundhog for supper, which sounds amazing and delicious.
It's for those of us that live where there's multiple seasons.
Yes.
We know this one because some people get tired of winter.
Yes.
I only get tired of winter because I get tired of people not being able to drive in the snow.
Yeah, you should try driving in the rain in LA, and then you want to get frustrated. Gosh.
Yeah, it's 6 more weeks of winter.
6 more weeks of winter? You're going to lock that thing in?
Yep.
You got it, John. Yep. So I figured you would know this, and it is interesting that you point out that being in the Midwest and anyone on the East Coast in cold weather climates, you probably do know this. I always get confused what applies to what. I know that it's, okay, he either sees a shadow or he doesn't, but I can never keep track of what it actually means. But yeah, if he sees a shadow, then there will be 6 more weeks of winter. This was brought about by Pennsylvania Dutch superstition, which you and I both have ties to Pennsylvania Dutch. Yep. The idea being that, it emerges from its burrow, the groundhog does. There's clear weather, so it sees its shadow because the sun is out. So then it's going to run into its den because it's scared of its shadow, I guess, and winter will persist for 6 more weeks. If it doesn't see its shadow because it's cloudy out, that means, spring's going to come early. Mm-hmm. Now, again, being on the West Coast, we always followed Groundhog Day here in Southern California. I remember it being a thing, but I genuinely thought that it affected the calendar. Like, I 100% thought if the groundhog saw its shadow, like, oh crap, we definitely have winter is going for 6 more weeks. But if he didn't, that it would be spring that day. And so I was always really excited and hope, but it never happened. It never freaking happened. It was just a lie. It's just a superstition. Right. It's just a tradition. By the way, we know that Punxsutawney Phil is the famous groundhog that predicts, that is nationally known. He's about 36% with his accuracy rate. So there's no real connection to this lore, to this tradition. Phil in his career has predicted 103 winter forecasts and only 17 early springs. And again, he's got about somewhere between a 35 and 40% record. There's different ways to measure it, but it fell about in that range.
And that is a very old rodent, then.
Yeah, I would guess so, yeah.
Especially, if Bill Murray shows up there and it just keeps happening over and over again.
I was going to say, if you really want people to pay attention, put Bill Murray in that den and bring him out and let him tell us if there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. I'd watch that every year. Okay, well, you're on a roll. 2 for 2, I'm 1 for 2, going into number 3 for Boy Scouts.
So this is as of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Which country has the most scouts? United States, United Kingdom, Canada, or Indonesia?
Wow. Okay, so it's interesting because you've already shared that scouting exists everywhere. And I'll admit my own, I don't know if it's bias, but I think of it as such a white person thing, and I don't even mean that because they're obviously in America, it's, we're culturally diverse and there are many, many races who participate, but right. When I see United States, United Kingdom, Canada, you think of scouting in those countries, you think of white people, and then there's Indonesia thrown in there, and so it's sort of throwing off but Indonesia, I believe has a very high population. So this says, which country has the most scouts? I'm assuming this is not per capita. This is straight up numbers,
right?
That, or it's just a trick question, and it's United States because that's where our bias is here. I don't know. Canada's big, but it's so super rural up there. I'm going to go with the wild card, and I'm going to pick Indonesia. Yeah.
Correct.
All right.
And actually, if you were doing, percentage of the population as well, it would still be Indonesia.
It has both. Amazing. I never would have guessed that without that choice being there.
Yeah. I mean, this is both Scouts and Guides, which is affiliated with Scouts, and it's basically the international version of Girl Scouts. Oh, but it's a part of the scouting movement as a whole. And
is it just straight? Is it called Guides, or is that an acronym, or is it just
No, it's just Guides.
And that's Girl Scouts essentially, internationally.
Yeah. As of this information, Indonesia has 24 million involved.
Wow.
So that's about 9.2% of their population.
Wow.
And scouting was actually introduced there in 1912. So it was only 2 years after the U.S.
That's amazing too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, to think about it, and then India is second with 5.9 million.
Okay.
Which its percentage is actually only 0.4%.
Yeah, because it's such a
and that's just because they're so, yeah. And then it's the U.S. with 4.9, Philippines with 3.3, Kenya with 2.4.
All right, Kenya.
And then Bangladesh with 2 million.
Wow, so like Canada and UK weren't even on there.
Right. UK has 940,000.
Wow, so not a big number.
Right. And the United States would have had another million or so added to that. But after the organization made changes to where they were allowing gay scouts, which I fully support and very happy that they've started doing that.
Same here, yeah.
The Church of Latter-day Saints actually pulled out.
Wow.
And their youth organization used to be Boy Scouts, but they completely pulled out from the Scouts and are doing their own thing now. So that was about 1 million people that left. So, Indonesia, it was introduced in 1912, India, 1909, Philippines, 1910, Kenya, 1910.
Wow.
It all makes sense. Those were all British colonies.
Yep. So they started scouting. They brought it to these countries where they were, they were bringing everything, right?
Right.
Fascinating.
But yeah, there's 216 countries that are involved.
Yeah.
It just happens to be that nearly half of them are in Indonesia.
Yeah, it's amazing because I think, from the first question, I think you probably brought a lot of knowledge to a lot of people, and that scouting is not only is it not started by America, it's not solely an American thing by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
It's very widespread. What was your troop number, John?
22.
22!
Which actually, yep.
Emmett Smith's number. I used to wear an Emmett Smith jersey every day for the Cowboys when I was 12.
Yeah. Which actually was the troop that my grandfather helped start when he joined Boy Scouts.
Wow, you got some lineage. That's cool. That's cool. Yep. 22 seems so much cooler. We were troop 388.
Well, and the pack I grew up in that then went into troop 22 is the pack that Jacob is in now.
Oh, that's your son.
So,
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Do you remember what your patrol was? Do we switch patrols often or because
I did.
Yeah. Which ones do you remember? This is like an animal usually that you get to wear a patch for on the side of your sleeve, and there's like a handful of you that are in this patrol together.
I was in the bear patrol quite a bit.
Bear's awesome. That's solid. John, I was a black dragon. Can you believe it? Oh, it was so cool. And I'm sure we just chose it because it was the coolest looking one. It was this little fire breathing dragon looking. I remember being that. I'm sure we were other things, but yeah, that was my black dragon and bear. I think a black dragon would beat a bear any day, for the record. Yeah. All right, let's see how you do on Groundhog's Day. You're 2 for 2. I'm 2 for 3 on Boy Scouts. According to the Inner Circle, we kind of were talking about this a little bit. The Inner Circle these are the dudes in the top hats and tuxedos that you see in Punxsutawney. How many Punxsutawney Phils have there been since the holidays beginning in 1887? So yeah, it started quite a while ago in 1887. So according to the Inner Circle, how many Punxsutawney Phils have there been? 28, 23, 1, or 2?
So, doing the math here, this year marks the 135th. And I know that, Groundhog is a rodent. I know rodents don't last. They don't tend to live very long. So I'm just going to go with 28.
Lock it in, 28. You're saying there's been 28 Punxsutawney Phils?
Yeah. I know it's not 1. I know it's not 2. So
28, John. That is incorrect. Again, this is according to the Inner Circle. There has only been 1 Punxsutawney Phil.
Of course.
So, according to them, there is only 1 Phil, and all other groundhogs are imposters. It's claimed that that 1 groundhog has lived to make weather prognostications since 1886. They say that he is sustained by groundhog punch, or also known as the elixir of life, which is administered at the annual groundhog picnic. I can't believe you didn't know this, John.
No.
And according to this groundhog club, so they pull them out and they have a little scroll that they read, and that apparently has been spoken to the president of the Inner Circle in a language that is called Groundhogese. And only the current president can understand Groundhogese and translate it. So 1 Punxsutawney Phil for the last 135 years, John.
So it almost makes you wonder, one, if it's actually something legit written in a, made up language that, you know how there's like information that gets passed from president to president?
Yep.
Like, I wonder if it's actually something like legit, like some like super crazy secret that just gets passed from the head of the Punxsutawney society.
Maybe, gosh, I wonder.
That only they know.
Now, here's some.
Like, is there gold on Oak Island?
Here's something I did not research, but you're making me ponder with this question is, how do you become a member of the inner circle? Like, I would assume it's almost like a city council for Punxsutawney, but
I'm guessing money.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I found that all very silly, and it's why I included the question. God, I feel like I had something else kind of silly to add to that, but I know what I was going to say is that your guess would have been very close to right. Approximate lifespan of a groundhog is about 6 years. So you do 6 divided by 135. I think it was like 24 was
okay.
So yeah, you were close with if it wasn't a magical groundhog named Punxsutawney Phil. All right, so we're tied up 2 for 3. We're moving right along.
And I got true or false for you. Steven Spielberg earned Eagle Scout.
No, this is false because he won his Eagle Scout, so you can't trick me. Okay, true or false? Steven Spielberg earned Eagle Scout. Shout out to my brother who did earn his Eagle Scout. Shout out to John, who we've already shouted out, but that is quite an accomplishment. Did Steven Spielberg? I don't know, John. I don't know. I'm trying to read you right now because like you could have had a list of celebrities and you thought, I should include one of these people on the why don't I just choose a random one and put them there and then he'll think it's true, but it's really false. Like maybe Steven Spielberg wasn't even a Boy Scout. Spielberg seems like, he grew up in that time period where a lot, like I said, my dad was a Boy Scout and I think it was very popular in those days. Mm-hmm. Oh God, I'm just going to choose true. I'm going to say that yes, Steven Spielberg earned his Eagle Scout. True. Yes.
It's correct.
All right.
And in talks that he's given in the past, he actually credits Boy Scouts to him getting into filmmaking.
No way.
He made a short movie for the photography merit badge.
Wow. That's so cool.
And he was actually on like the national board for the BSA for a long time.
That's cool.
And then helped get the cinematography merit badge created.
Nice. Dude, if I knew that existed, I would have been all about that.
Right? Yeah, I mean, he stepped down a while ago when the whole fight to get the gay scouts. Yeah. He was in support of having the gay scouts. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So he stepped down kind of in protest from what I was seeing. But yeah, no, he credits Boy Scouts for his entire career in filmmaking.
That's very cool. I like that. And to kind of bounce off of something you just said, I do wonder what the general public thought about Boy Scouts is. That wasn't a very well constructed sentence, but what because there was this controversy about whether you let scouts be gay, whether you openly allow them to be openly gay. Same with leaders, right? And and then if I'm not mistaken, and I hate to bring up
leaders, I'm not actually sure are allowed yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure of either. I kind of remember that being a controversy.
But there's this weird thing where people think, they're gay, so they must be pedophiles. Which, granted, right now the Scouts is having to go through a lot of stuff with kids that were molested in the past.
Yep.
I don't condone that at all.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. But, it's something that's happened. I think the organization as a whole has learned from that. They've grown. Yeah. There's definitely still need to continue growing. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm glad Jacob's doing it. Yeah. I hope when Charlie's old enough, he wants to do it as well. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think in order to be able to try to get those changes that need to happen, you have to be involved. You can't just quit on it, in protests, which, sometimes that's the right thing to do. Sometimes it's not. So.
Yeah, that was going to be my kind of take on it, is that I know it hasn't gotten the best PR in the last few years, and some of it is deservedly so. They made bad choices. Mm-hmm. I don't think you go as far as holding individuals who committed crimes on kids responsible for a whole organization. I don't know the whole backstory. I would consider myself a supporter of the Boy Scouts, I think, because I was one, and again, because I think they're starting to step into a little bit more of a modern world take on what the world is. But I think the skills and there's social skills, outdoor skills. You already mentioned photography, cinematography. There's merit badges run the gamut. It's not just starting a fire. And I think that's fascinating that Steven Spielberg was inspired largely by a merit badge.
And something that was told to me by a couple people, and I definitely find it to be true because I've had other people tell me, no one ever regrets having been involved with it.
Yeah. You're right.
Like people regret quitting.
Yeah.
But they don't regret being learning the things and being involved with it at all.
Well, here's my take on that. I do not regret quitting only because I quit when I was 17 years old. I had already given it a good shot. My brother was more or less what was keeping me in there. What I do regret, and I don't know if regret's the right word, but I did not take any initiative in Boy Scouts. I didn't understand what I had to do. And I could sit here all day and blame Scoutmasters and my dad and my brother for not showing me. But quite frankly, I have a feeling they did. And to this day, I swear I had and have some kind of learning disability, an undiagnosed one. And I just didn't get that I had to do these things to here's what I have to do this week to earn this merit badge and to earn this next rank. So in Boy Scouts, you get tenderfoot, second class, first class, Star, Life, Eagle. Did I do that right?
Yep.
So I got tenderfoot, almost a given. They kind of hold your hand and walk you through that. I did get second class, which is the ugliest badge because all it is the little Be Prepared logo. It's like a naked little badge that you wear. Didn't get past second class. All my friends that were my age started, here comes their first class, here comes their Star, their Life. And I'm just sitting back here still I haven't done anything for 4 years, So yeah, I do not regret being a Boy Scout. My regret would be in not sort of understanding what I had to do and taking more initiative.
Yeah, I mean, and I get that, I got the Life almost as quickly as you can.
Oh.
And then I was Life for 4 years.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And then I finally finished my Eagle 10 days before I turned 18.
Oh, you did it. Wow.
Right. My original goal was to do it when I turned 16 because then my grandpa was 50 years older than me. His birthday is actually Groundhog's Day.
Happy birthday, John's grandpa.
Literally almost 50 years older than me.
Wow.
He earned Eagle when he was 16. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then I didn't necessarily stop doing stuff for Eagle, but that kind of went on the back burner a little bit. And so I was still involved. I just was slacking a little bit on other things.
Yeah, well, your back burner was not nearly as burning as bright as mine was. I'll tell you that right now.
Right.
Okay, so I got that one right. That puts me at 3 for 4. Am I correct on that? Yeah, okay. And you're trying to do the same. You're trying to go 3 for 4 here on Groundhog Day. Which of the following is not the name of a regional groundhog who predicts the weather on Groundhog Day? So just for clarification, we know Punxsutawney Phil. There are many other regional groundhogs that predict the weather. Which of these is not a real one? I just made it up. So is it Shubenacadie Sam, just saying it twice, Columbo of Columbus, Buckeye Chuck, or Balzac Billy?
Knowing the Northeast and knowing how weird names they've got, I'm guessing the first one is actually true.
Shubenacadie Sam?
Yeah. I mean, come on, we got Punxsutawney.
Yeah, exactly.
I know Balzac is a writer, so I don't know of any towns named after him. So I'm just going to go with Balzac Billy.
You're locking in Balzac Billy? You going to go with it?
Yep.
That is incorrect, John. Sorry. Balzac is apparently a town in Alberta, Canada, in Calgary. So Balzac Billy, he is not a real groundhog, quote unquote. He's a mascot, and so it's a guy in a suit, or it's a real large. But he's got this cool little red racer jacket on, and it says Balzac Billy across of it. And and sometimes he wears sunglasses, which I assume has to do with the weather and whether he sees a shadow or not. The correct answer, the one that does not exist, is Columbo of Columbus. I made that one up because Columbus is a city in Ohio, and I thought, maybe they would name it Columbo if there was one. So Buckeye Chuck is another one that is real.
From Ohio, I bet.
Yes, yep. He's from Ohio, and the Ohio General Assembly declared Buckeye Chuck the official state groundhog in 1979. So there you go. And yes, Shubenacadie Sam. Shubenacadie is a town in Canada somewhere. Also, I forget where exactly. What's funny is on its Wikipedia page, I saw it had a category controversy. I was like, controversy about Shubenacadie Sam. In 2018, scene, Sam bit the finger of a CBC reporter, Brett Ruskin, when the reporter grabbed the groundhog to stop Sam from climbing out of the groundhog enclosure. So Shubenacadie Sam has a history of violence against reporters, and I don't know what the repercussions were, but hopefully he's still doing his thing. So there you go, John. Sorry you missed that one. You're 2 for 4. I'm 3 for 4. So basically, I need to get the next one right to guarantee a win. But if I miss it, then we could tie.
So we're talking U.S. presidents here.
Okay.
How many presidents have been in Scouts?
My goodness.
5, 8, 12, or 1?
That 1 feels like the wild card. To me, it would be surprising if it was 1, because I feel like there was an era where just it was the all-American thing to do to be a Boy Scout, and like every kid did it, especially, probably most people who become president have some form of wealth as a youth. At the very least, they're middle class, but most are probably higher, so they're able to be a Boy Scout. So I'd be really surprised if it was only 1. Is it as many as 12 though? Wow. 5, 8, 12, or 1. I'm gonna choose 8. I'm gonna say just got to take a guess. I'm gonna guess 8 presidents have been Scouts.
It's incorrect.
Dang it! All right. Well, what was it then?
It's 5.
Oh, it was 5. Okay, I wasn't even really thinking 5. Wow. Okay.
Now, if the question was how many presidents have earned Eagle Scout, you would be correct.
8.
Oh no, sorry, it's 1.
1. Got it. Only 1 has earned it.
Yeah. And you got to think about this, Scouts started in 1910. So any president before 1910, well, actually, any president before 1945 could not be a Scout. That being said, every president since the founding of the Scouts has been involved in some fashion, as an honorary member or something like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you had JFK was the first Boy Scout. Gerald Ford earned his Eagle Scout. Bill Clinton and George W. Bush were both Cub Scouts, and Obama was actually in the Gerakan Pramuka, which is the Indonesian Scout Association, and he basically reached the equivalent of Cub Scouts.
No way, that's crazy.
So,
he was one of the international scouting. Because it's funny, because I did notice that the question said Scouts, not Boy Scouts. So I was like, how could somebody have been in? I didn't even think about Obama. That's great.
Yeah, and actually that was a new one for me. Like I knew the other ones, but I didn't know about Obama until I was doing some research, and I'm like, that's a good question.
That is a great question. Yeah. Okay, John. Great quiz, man. We have to let's figure this out. So you have to get this right to tie, otherwise you give me the win. Yep. Last question for Groundhog Day. So, according to Harold Ramis, rest in peace, Harold Ramis. He's the writer and director of the film Groundhog Day. Approximately how long did he think that Bill Murray's character was stuck in the time loop? Was it 5 to 10 years, 10 to 20 years? 20 to 30 years, or 30 to 40 years. Again, this is just his own theory. How long did Harold Ramis think that Bill Murray's character was stuck in the time loop in Groundhog Day?
I feel like I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a side topic here. Mm-hmm. So, that type of story where, you just keep getting looped over and over again. Mm-hmm. One, Groundhog Day is a fantastic version of that.
Oh yeah,
However, I think one of my, a lot of TV shows have done that as well. Mm-hmm. I think my favorite though is the episode for that from Stargate SG-1. There's a lot of humor in it.
I haven't seen it, but I should. Yeah. I will shout out, and this movie has now been out long enough that I don't mean this as a spoiler, but I will promote this movie. If you haven't seen it, you should watch Palm Springs on Hulu. Have you seen that, John?
I haven't seen it, but I heard about it.
Andy Samberg, and it was I actually think at least in the last like 2 or 3 years since it came out, that's the movie I've seen the most, because I've wanted to show it to someone, so I'll watch it again with them. I've watched it on my own. I just love that movie. I think it's so smart. And I don't want to spoil anything. You could probably put the pieces together about why I'm bringing it up. But if you have not seen Palm Springs, I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah. But back to the question, I think I'm going to go with the 30 to 40 years. Because I feel like, if memory serves, he was like, it was a really long time.
All right. So you're going to go with 30 to 40 years.
Yep.
John, that is Correct. You tied me. All right.
Hey.
We got ourselves a tie. Great job. This was super fascinating to kind of look into because I was looking to find like a definitive answer. It doesn't exist. There is no definitive answer on this. There are all kinds of videos and theories that you can check out. I think one person proved that the minimum amount of time would be like 13 days, but the maximum is like thousands and thousands. You know, if you consider each, you could theoretically argue that each cut from one scene to the next is a different day, and then it just goes on forever. But Ramis in the, what's it called? Remember in digital video discs and DVDs where they had commentary afterwards, he initially said that he thought the film took place over 10 years. But then when some video went viral and talked about how long it would be, Ramis corrected himself. Here's what he said. He says that it takes at least 10 years to become good at an activity. And so Phil learns how to ice sculpt. He learns to speak French. He learns to play the piano. So allotting for the downtime that would be associated with that and the misguided years where he wasn't actively working on anything, he said it had to be more like 30 or 40 years. There's a similar estimate that says it takes at least 10,000 hours of study to learn, which is just over a year, 10,000 hours to become an expert in a field. So given the number of loops seen or mentioned on screen, plus how long he would have to study each thing that he learns, it was 12,400 days, which is approximately 34 years. And the last piece of info that I have on it, this was co-written by Danny Rubin, along with Harold Ramis. Danny Rubin said in the original concept draft of this movie, Phil at some point estimates that he's been trapped for between 70 and 80 years. He used books to kind of track back the passage of time. That didn't actually take place in the movie, but that was the closest thing to like an official answer. So who knows? Okay. Who knows? But I think that's one of the most fascinating parts of this film is like, I know as a kid, I just assumed, it's a couple weeks, but yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing to think, oh my God, this dude spent years, like almost a lifetime potentially worth of time. And it's just, such a great film, such a smart film.
Oh yeah.
Wow, John, we tied it up. You know, here's another thing. When you mentioned Grayson earlier, poor Grayson, he's going to be our statistician. I have not gone back and looked at our records in forever, and I should do that. I should take responsibility and do that. I think I'm up by 2 or 3. I think we've had 5 ties. I would commit to doing it right now, but I don't want to commit to it, but I should commit to going and seeing what our record.
This is why we need the Wikipedia page, people.
Yeah, exactly.
We can have that on there.
Yes, we're officially campaigning for a Wikipedia page. All right, John, looking forward to doing this all over again next week and being here with you loggers. We'll catch you then.
Likewise. See ya.
It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
You are a bald human who won an Eagle Award.